The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 2, The Way to the Realization of a Universal Religion. Lecture delivered in Universalist Church, Pasadena, California, 28 January 1900. No search has been dearer to the human heart than that which brings to us light from God. No search has been dearer to the human heart than that which brings to us light from God. No study has taken so much of human energy, whether in times past or present, as a study of soul, of God, and a human destiny. However immersed we are in our daily occupation, in our ambitions, in our work, in the midst of the greatest of our struggle, sometimes there will come a pause. The mind stops and wants to know something beyond this world, something it catches glimpse of, a rim beyond the senses, and a struggle to get at it is the result. Thus, it has been throughout the ages, in all countries, man has wanted to look beyond, wanted to expand himself, and all that we call progress, evolution, has been always measured by that one search, the search for human destination, the search for God. As our social struggles are represented among different nations by different social organizations, so is man's spiritual struggle represented by various religions and has different social organizations are constantly quarreling, are constantly at war with one another. So these spiritual organizations have been constantly at war with one another, constantly quarreling. Men belonging Men belonging to a particular social organization claims that the right to live only belongs to them, and so long as they want to exercise that right at the cost of the weak. We know that just now there is a fierce struggle of that sort going on in South Africa. Similarly, each religion sect has claimed the exclusive right to live, and thus we find that though there is nothing that has brought to men more blessing than religion, at the same time there is nothing that has brought more horror than religion. Nothing has made more for peace and love than religion. Nothing has engendered fierce hatred than religion. Nothing has made the brotherhood of men more tangible than religion. Has Nothing has bred more bitter enmity between the man and the man than religion. Nothing has built more charitable institution, more hospitals for men, and even for the animals, than religions. Nothing has deluded the world with more blood than religion. We know that the similar time or the same time that there has always been an undercurrent of thoughts. There have been always parties of men, philosophers, students of comparative religion who have tried and are still trying to bring about harmony in the midst of all this jaggering and discordant sects. As regards certain countries, these attempts have succeeded, but as regard the whole world, they have failed. There are some religions which have come down to us from the remotest antiquity, which are imbued with the idea that all sects should be allowed to live, that every sect has a meaning, a great idea embedded within itself, and therefore it is necessary for good of the world and ought to be helped. In modern times, the same idea is prevailing and attempts are made from time to time to reduce it to practice. These attempts do not always come up to our expectations, up to be required efficiency. Now, To our great disappointment, we sometimes find that we are quarreling all the more. Now, leaving aside dogmatic study and taking a common sense view of the thing, we find at the start that there is a tremendous life power in all the great religions of the world. Some may say that they are ignorant of this, but ignorance is no excuse. If a man says, I do not know what is going on in the external world, therefore, things that are going on in the external world do not exist, that man is inexcusable. Now, those of you that watch the movement of the religious thought all over the world are perfectly aware that not one of the great religions of the world has died. Not only so, each one of them is progressive. Christians are multiplying, Mohammedans are multiplying, the Hindus are gaining ground, and the Jews also are increasing. And by their spreading all over the world and increasing rapidly, the fold of Judaism is constantly expanding. Only one religion of the world, an ancient great religion, has dwindled away, and that religion is Zoroastrianism, the religion of the ancient Parsians. Under the Mohammedan conquest of Persia, about 100,000 of these people came and took shelter in India, and some remained in the ancient Persia. Those that were in Persia under the constant persecution of the Mohammedans dwindled down till there are at most only 10,000. In India, there are about 80,000 of them, but they do not increase. Of course, there is an initial difficulty. They do not convert others to their religion, and then this handful of persons living in India with the pernicious custom of cousin marriage do not multiply. With a single exception, with this single exception, all the great religions are living, spreading, and increasing. We must remember that all the great religions of the world are very ancient. Not one has been formed at the present times, and that every religion of the world owes its origin to the country between the Ganga and the Euphrates. Not one great religion has arisen in Europe, not one in America, not one. Every religion is of Asiatic origin and belongs to the part of the world. If what the modern scientists say is true, that the survival of the fetus is the test, this religion prove by they are still living that they are yet fit for some people. There is a reason why they should live. They bring good to many. Look at the Mohammedans, how they are spreading in some places of southern Asia and spreading like a fire in Africa. The Buddhists are spreading all over the Central Asia all the time. Hindus, like the jewels, do not convert others. Still, gradually other races are coming within Hinduism and adopting the manners and custom of Hindus and falling into line with them. Christianity, you will you all know, is spreading, though I am not sure that the results are equal to the energy put forth. The Christian attempt at the propaganda has one tremendous defect, and that is a defect of all the Western institutions. The machine consumes 90% of the energy, and there is too much machinery. Preaching has always been the business of the ascetics. The Western people are grand in organization, social institution, armies, government, etc. But when it comes to the preaching religion, they cannot come near the Asiatics, whose business it has been all the time, and he knows it, and he does not use too much machineries. This then is a fact in the present history of the human race that all these great religions exist and are spreading and multiplying. Now there is a meaning, certainly, to this, and had it been the will of an all wise and all merciful creator that one of this religion should exist and the rest should die, it would have become a fact long, long ago. If it were a fact that only one of this religion is true and all the rest are false, by this time it would have covered the whole ground. But this is not so. Not one has gained all the grounds. All religions sometimes advance, sometimes decline. Now, just think of this. In your own country, there are more than 60 millions of people and only 21 million professing religion of all sorts. So it is not always progress. In every country, probably, if the statistics are taken, you would find that religion are sometimes progressing and sometimes going back. Sects are multiplying all the time. If the claim of the religion that it has all the truth and God has given it all this truth in a certain book, very true. Why are there so many sects? 50 years do not pass before there are 20 sects founded upon the same book. If God has put all the truth in certain books, He does not give us those books in order that we may quarrel over text. Then that seems to be the fact. Is it why is it? Even if a book were given by God which contained all the truth about religion, it would not serve the purpose because nobody could understand the book. Take the Bible for instance, and all the sects that exist among us Christians. Each one put its own interpretation upon the same text, and each says that it alone understands that text, and all the rest are wrong. So, with every religion. There are many sects among the Mohammedans and among the Buddhists and hundreds among the Hindus. Now, I bring this fact before you in order to show you that any attempt to bring all humanity to one method of thinking in spiritual things has been a failure and always will be a failure. Every man that starts a theory, even at the present day, finds that if he goes 20 miles away from his followers, they will make 20 sect. You see, that happens all the time. You cannot make all comfort to the same ideas. That is a fact, and I thank God that it is so. I am not against any sect. I am glad that sect exists, and I only wish they may go on multiplying more and more. Why? Simply because of this. If you and I and all who are present here were to think exactly the same thoughts, there would be no thoughts for us to think. We know that two or more forces must come into collision in order to produce motion. It is the clash of thoughts, the differentiation of thoughts that awakens thought. Now, if we all thought alike, we would be like Egyptian mummies in the museum, looking vacantly at one another's face, no more than streams. No more than that. Rills and eddies occur only in the rushing, living stream. There are no whirlpools in stagnant, dead water. When religion is dead, there will be no more sect. It will be the perfect peace and harmony of the grave. But so long has mankind thinks there will be sect. Variation is a sign of life and it must be there. I pray that they may multiply so that at last there will be as many sects as human beings and each one will have his own methods, his individual method of thoughts in religion. But this thing exists already. Each one of us is thinking in his own way, but his natural course has been obstructed all the time and is still being obstructed. If the sword is not used directly, other means will be used. Just hear what one of the best preachers in New York says. He preaches only way to teach Christianity to them. He preaches that the Filipinos should be conquered because that is the only way to teach Christianity to them. They are already Catholic, but he wants to make them Presbyterian, and for this he is ready to lay all this terrible scene of bloodshed upon his race. How terrible! And this man is the one of the greatest preacher of this country, one of the best informed men. Think of the state of the world when a man like that is not ashamed to stand up and utter such arrant nonsense, and think of the state of the world when an audience cheers him. Is this civilization? It is the old bloodthirstiness of the tiger, the cannibal, the savage, coming out once more under new names, new circumstances. What else can it be? If the state of things is such now, we think of the horror through which the world passed in olden times, when every sect was trying by every means in its power to tear to pieces the other sect. History shows that the tiger is the tiger in us is only asleep. It is not dead. When opportunities come, it jumps up and as of old, uses its claws and fangs. Apart from the sword, apart from the material weapon, there are weapons still more terrible: contempt, social hatred, and social ostracism. Now, these are the most terrible of all afflictions that are hurled against person who do not think exactly in the same way as we do. And why should everybody think just as we do? I do not see any reason. If I am a rational man, I should be glad they do not think just as I do. I do not want to live in the grave like land. I want to be a man in the world of men. Thinking beings must differ. Difference is the first sign of thoughts. If I am thoughtful, if I am a thoughtful man, certainly I ought to like to live among a thoughtful person where there are difference of opinions. Then arise the question, how can all these various variations or varieties be true? If one thing is true, its negation is false. How can contradictory opinion be true at the same time? This is the question which I intend to answer, but I will first ask you, are all the religions of the world really contradictory? I do not mean the external form in which great thoughts are clad. I do not mean the different buildings and languages, rituals, books, etc. employed in various religions, but I mean the internal soul of every religion. Every religion has a soul behind it, and that soul may differ from the soul of the other religion. But are they contradictory? Do they contradict or supplement each other? That is the question. I took up the question when I was quite a boy, and I have been studying it all my life, thinking that my conclusion may be of some help to you. I place it before you. I believe that they are not contradictory, they are supplementary. Each religion, as it were, takes up one part of the great universal truth and spends its whole life in embodying and typifying that part of the great truth. It is therefore addition, not exclusion. That is the idea. System after system arises, each one is embodying a great idea, and the ideal must be added to ideals. And this is the march of humanity. Man never progresses from error through truth. Man never progresses from error to truth, but from truth to truth, from lesser truth to the higher truth. But it is never from error to truth. The child may develop more than the father, but was the father inane? The child is a father plus something else. If your present state of knowledge is much greater than it was when you were child, would you look down upon the stage now? Will you look back and call it inanity? Why, your present stage is a knowledge of a child plus something more. Then again, we also know that there may be almost contradictory points of view of the same thing, but they will all indicate the same thing. Suppose a man, suppose a man journeying towards, suppose a man journeying towards the sun, and as he advances, he takes a photograph of the sun at every stage. When he comes back, he has many photographs of the sun, which he places before us. We see that not two of them are alike, and yet who will deny that? All these are the photographs of the same sun from different standpoints. Take four photographs. of this church from different corners, how different they would look, and yet they would all represent this church. In the same way, we are all looking at truth from different standpoints, which vary according to our birth, education, surrounding, and so on. We are viewing truth, getting as much of it as these circumstances will permit, coloring the truth with our own heart, understanding with our own intellect, and grasping it with our own mind. We can only know as much of truth as it related to us, as much of it as we are able to receive. This makes the difference between man and man, and the occasions sometimes even contradictory ideas. Yet we all belong to the same great universal truth. My idea, therefore, is that all these religions are different forces of in the economy of God, working for a good of mankind, and that not one can become dead, not one can be killed. Just as you cannot kill any force in nature, so you cannot kill any one of these spiritual forces. You have seen that each religion is living. From time to time, it may integrate, grade, or go forward. At one time, it may be shorn of a good way, may of a good may many of a good many of its trapping. At another time, it may be covered with all sort of trapping, but all the same, the soul is ever there. It can never be lost. The ideal which every religion represent is never lost, and so every religion is intelligently on the march, and that the universal religion about which philosophers and others have dreamed in every country already exists. It is here. As the universal brotherhood of man is already existing, so also is the universal religion. Which of you that have traveled far and wide have not found brothers and sisters in every nation? I have found them all over the world. Brotherhood already exists, only there are numbers of persons who fail to see this and only upset it by crying for new brotherhoods. Universal religion too is already existing. If the priest and other people that have taken upon themselves the task of preaching different religions similarly cease preaching for a few moments, and we shall see it in there. They are disturbing it all the time because it is of to their interest. You see that the priests in every country are very conservative. Why is so? There are very few priests who lead to people. Most of them are led by the people and are their slaves and servants. If you say it is right, they say it is so. If you say it is black, they say it is black. If the person and people advance, the priest must advance. They cannot lag behind. So before blaming the priest, it is fashion to blame the priest. You ought to blame yourself. You only get what you deserve. What would be the fate of the priest who want to give you new and advanced ideas and lead you forward? His children would probably starve, and he would be clad in rags. He is governed by the same worldly law as you are. If you go on, he says, let us march. Of course, there are exceptional souls. There are exceptional souls, not cowed down by public opinion. They see the truth, and the truth alone they value. Truth has got hold of them, has got possession of them, has it were, and they cannot but march ahead. They never took backward. They never look backward. And for them, there are no people. God alone exists for them. He is the light before them, and they are following that light. I met a Mormon gentleman in this country who tried to persuade me to his faith. I said I had great respect for your opinion, but in certain points we do not agree. I belong to the monastic order, and you believe in marrying many wives. But why don't you go to India to preach? Then he was astonished. He said, Why you don't believe in any marriage or at all? And we believe in polygamy. And yet you asked me to go to your country. I said yes. My countrymen will hear every religion thought, everywhere, wherever it come may come from. I wish you would go to India first because I am a greater believer in sects. Secondly, there are many men in India who are not at all satisfied with any of the existing sect, and on account of this dissatisfaction, they will not have anything to do with religion, and possibly you might get some of them. The greater the number of sects, the more chance of people getting religion. In the hotel, where there are all sort of food, everyone has a chance to get his appetite satisfied. So I want sect to multiply in every country, that more people may have a chance to be spiritual. Do not think that people do not like religion. I do not believe that. The preachers cannot give them what they need. The same man that may have been branded as an atheist, as a materialist, or what not, may meet a man who gives him the truth needed by him, and he may turn out the most spiritual man in the community. We can eat only in our own way. For instance, we Hindus eat with our fingers. Our fingers are suppliers than yours. You cannot use your fingers the same way. Not only the food should be supplied, but it should be taken in your own particular way. Not only must you have the spiritual idea, but they must come to you according to your own method. They must speak your own language, the language of your soul, and then alone they will satisfy you. When the man comes who speaks my language and gives truth in my language, I at once understand it and receive it forever. This is a great fact. Now, from this, we see that there are various grades and types of human minds, and what a task religions take upon them. A man brings forth 2 to 3 doctrines and claims that his religion ought to satisfy all humanity. He goes out into the world, God's menageries, with a little cage in hand, and says, God, an elephant, and everybody has to go into this. Even if we have to cut the elephant into pieces, he must go in. Again, there may be a sect with a new good ideas. Its followers say all men must come in, but there is no room for them. Never mind, cut them to pieces, get them in anyhow. If they don't get in, why? If they don't get in, why? They will be damned. No preachers, no sect have I ever met that pauses and ask, why is it that people do not listen to us? Instead, they curse the people and say, the people are wicked. They never ask, how is it that people do not listen to my words? Why cannot I make them see the truth? Why cannot I speak in their language? Why cannot I open their eyes? Surely they ought to know better. And when they find people do not listen to them, if they curse anybody, it should be themselves. But it is always the people's fault. They never try to make their sect large enough to embrace everyone. Therefore, we at once see why there has been so much narrow mindedness. The part always claiming to the whole, the little, the finite unit, always lying claim to the infinite. Think of the little sect, born within a few hundred years out of a fallible human brains, making this arrogant claim of knowledge of whole of God's infinite truth. Think of the ignorance of it. If it shows anything, it is this, how vain human beings are. And it is no wonder that such claims have always failed, and by the mercy of the Lord are always destined to fail. In this line, the Mohammedans were the best of. Every step forward was made with the sword, the Quran in the one hand, the Quran in one hand and the sword in the other. Take the Quran or you must die. There is no alternative. You know from history how phenomenal was their success. For 600 years, nothing could resist them, and then there came a time when they had to cry halt. So will it be with other religion if they follow the same methods? We are such babies, we always forget human nature. When we begin life, we think that our fate will be something extraordinary and nothing can make us disbelieve that. But when we grow old, we think different. So with religions, in their early stage, when they spread a little, they get the idea that they can change the mind of the whole human race in a few years and go on killing and massacring to make converts by force. Then they fail and begin to understand better. We see that this sect did not succeed in what they started out to do, which was a great blessing. Just think, if one of those fanatic sect had succeeded all over the world, where would men be today? Now the Lord be blessed that they did not succeed. At each one represent a great truth. Each religion represent a particular excellence, something which is its soul. There is an old story which comes to my mind. There were some ogresses who used to kill people and do all sort of mischiefs, but they themselves could not be killed until someone found out that their soul were in every certain bird, and so long as the birds were safe, nothing could destroy the ogresses. So each one of us has it where such a bird, where our soul is, has an ideal or mission to perform in life. Every human being is an embodiment of such an ideal, such a mission. Whatever else you may lose, so long as that ideal is not lost, that mission is not hurt. Nothing can kill you. Wealth may come and go, misfortune may pile mountains high, but if you can help, or if you have kept the ideal entire, nothing can kill you. You may have grown old, even 100 years old, but if that mission is fresh and the young in your heart, what can kill you? But when that ideal is lost and that mission is hurt, nothing can save you. All the wealth, all the power of the world will not save you. And what are nations but multiplied individuals? So each nation has a mission of its own to perform in this harmony of race. And so long as the nation keeps to that ideal, that nation nothing can kill. But if that nation gives up its mission in life and goes after something else, its life becomes short and it vanishes. And so, with religions, the fact that all these old religions are living today proves that they must have kept that mission intact. In spite of all this, all their mistakes, in spite of all difficulties, in spite of all quarrels, in spite of all incrustation of forms and figures, the heart of every one of them is sound. It is the throbbing, beating, living heart. They have not lost any one of them the great mission they came for, and it is splendid to study that mission. Take Mohammedanism, for instance. Christian people hate no religion in the world so much as Mohammedanism. They think it is very worst from the religion form of religion that ever existed. As soon as a man becomes Mohammedan, the whole of the Islam receives him as a brother with open arms without making any distinction which no other religion does. If one of your American Indians become a Mohammedan, the Sultan of Turkey would have no objection to dine with him. If he has brain, no position is bared to him. In this country, I have never yet seen a church where the white man and the Negro can kneel side by side to pray. Just think of that. Islam makes its follower all equal, so that you see is the peculiar excellence of Mohammedanism. In many places in the Quran, you find very sensual idea of life. Never mind. What Mohammedanism comes to preach to the world is this practical brotherhood of all belongings to their faith. That is the essential part of the Mohammedan religion, and all other ideas about heaven or of life, etc., are not Mohammedanism. They are accretions. With the Hindus, you will find one national idea, spirituality. In no other religion, in no other sacred books of the world, will you find so much energy spent in defining the idea of God. They try to define the idea of soul so that no earthly touch might march it. The spirit must be divine, and the spirit understand as a spirit must not be made into a man. The same idea of unity, of realization of God, the omnipresent, is preached throughout. They think it is all nonsense to say that He lives in heaven and all that. It is mere human, anthropomorphic idea. All the heaven that ever existed is now and here. One moment in the infinite time is quite as good as any other moment. If you believe in God, you can see Him even now. We think religion begins when you have realized something. It is not believing in doctrine, not giving intellectual assent, nor making declarations. If there is a God, have you seen Him? If you say no, then what right have you to believe in Him? If you are in doubt whether there is God, why do you not struggle to see Him? Why do not you renounce the world and spend the whole of your life for this one objective? Recon- Renunciation and spirituality are the two great ideas of India. And it is because India clings to these ideas that all her mistakes count for so little. With the Christian, the central idea that has been preached by them is the same: watch and pray, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, which means purify your mind and be ready, and that spirit never dies. You recollect all the Christians are that the Christians are, even in the darkest days, even in the most superstitious Christian countries, always try to prepare themselves for the coming of Lord by trying to help others, building hospitals and so on. So long as the Christian keep to that ideal, their religion lives. Now, an ideal present itself to my mind. It may be not only a dream. I do not know whether it will ever be realized in this world, but sometimes it is better to dream a dream than die on hard facts. Great truth. Even in the dream are good, better than the bad facts. So let us dream a dream. You know that there are various grades of mind. You may be a matter of fact, common sense rationalist. You do not care for forms and ceremonies. You want intellectual, hard ringing fact, and they alone will satisfy you. Then there are Puritans, the Mohammedans, who will not allow the picture or the statue in their place of worship. Very well, but there is another man who is more artistic. He wants a great deal of art, beauty of line and curves, and the color, flowers, forms, and he wants candles, light, and all the insignia, paraphernalia of rituals, that he may see God. His mind his mind takes God in those forms as your takes him through the intellect. Then there is a devotional man whose soul is crying for God. He has no other idea but to worship God and praise to him. Then again, there is the philosopher standing outside all this, mocking at them. He thinks what nonsense they are, what ideas about the God. They may laugh at one another, but each one has a place in this world. All these various minds, all these various types are necessary. If there were ever, if there ever is going to be an ideal religion, it must be broad and large enough to supply food for all these minds. It must supply the strength of philosophy to the philosophers, devotees' heart to the worshippers, To the ritualist, it will give all that the most marvelous symbolism can convey. To the poet, it will give as much of heart as he can take in, and other things beside. To make such a broad religion, we shall have to go back to the time when religion began and take them all in. Our watchword then, our watchword then will be acceptance and not exclusive. Not only toleration, for so called toleration is often blasphemy, and I do not believe in it. I believe in acceptance. Why should I tolerate? Toleration means that I think that you are wrong and I am just allowing you to live. Is it not the blasphemy to think that you and I are allowing others to live? I accept all religions that were in the past and worship with them all. I worship God with every one of them in whatever form they worship Him. I shall go to the mosque of the Mohammedan. I shall enter the church of the Christian and kneel before the crucifix. I shall enter the Buddhist temple where I shall take refuge in the Buddha and his laws. I shall go into the forest and sit down and meditate with the Hindus, who is trying to see the light which enlightens the heart of everyone. Not only shall I do all this, but I shall keep my heart open for all that may come in the future. Is God's book finished? Or is it still a continuous revelation going on? It is a marvelous book. This spiritual revelation of the world, the Bible, the Vedas, the Quran, and all other sacred books are but so many pages, and an infinite number of pages remain yet to be unfolded. I will leave in open for all of them. We stand in the present but open ourselves to the infinite future. We take in all that has been in the past, enjoy the light of the present, and open every window of the heart for all that will come in the future. Salutation to all the prophets of the past, to all the great ones of the present, and to all that are going to come in the future.